Hey y'all. Y'all have to forgive me. I got distracted. I really did. Um so anyway, I was looking on my playlist and saw that I hadn't did anything under Bizarre Truths. So I thought I'd do that today. What y'all think? So I'm here minding my own business and I came to a part about the Great Famine. Now, is the Great Famine the same as the Depression? I don't know. So we're gonna see. Okay. So this is in the Book of Bizarre Truths, and it is page 527. The Great Famine. Okay. So it says more than 1 million people starved to death in Ireland. This was in Ireland. I heard about the potato famine. I think this is what this is. Okay. From 1845 to 1851, but only one crop failed, the potato. How could this have killed so many? Why didn't the Irish just eat other stuff? Okay, so it says, as usual, the poor get the shaft. The reason the Great Famine, as it's called, took such a toll is simple. Those who starved were poor. For generations, the impoverished in Ireland survived by planting potatoes to feed their family. They had nothing else. Ireland's wealthy landowners grew all kinds of crops, but these were shipped off and sold for profit. Most rich folks didn't care that the poor starved. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to just keep reading. Okay? I'm going to just keep reading. How did things get so bad? Irish History 1 on 101. Okay? The Catholics and the Protestants didn't like each other, and neither did the English and the Irish. And let me just tell you, the ancient English and the ancient Irish, neither one of them was black. Just so you know. Okay. Back then, the wealthy landowners were mostly Protestants from England, while the poor were Catholic peasants. The Irish peasants grew their food on small parcels of land that were rented from the hated English. In the 16th century, a hitherto unknown item, the potato, crossed the Atlantic from Peru, originally arriving in England and finally getting to Ireland in 1590. Spuds grew well in Ireland, even on the rocky, uneven plots that were often rented by peasants, and they quickly became the peasants' main food source. Potatoes required little labor to grow, and an acre could yield 12 tons of them, enough to feed a family of 6 for the entire year, with leftovers for the animals. We think of potatoes as a fattening food, but they're loaded with vitamins, carbohydrates, and even some protein. Add a little fish and buttermilk to the diet, and a family could live quite happily on potatoes. Potatoes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner might sound monotonous, but it fueled a population boom in Ireland. By the 19th century, 3 million people were living on the potato diet. In 1845, though, the fungus um, Phytophthora infectans, or late blight, turned Ireland's potatoes into black, smelly, inedible lumps. Impoverished families had no other options. Their pitiful savings were wiped out and they fled to the workhouses, the only places where they could get food and shelter in return for their labor. That's slavery, ain't it? When the potato crop failed again the next year, and every year through 1849, people began dying in earnest, not just from starvation, but from scurvy and gangrene caused by a lack of vitamin C, typhus, dysentery, typhoid fever, and heart failure. Overwhelmed and underfunded, the workhouses closed their doors. Many people who were weakened by hunger died of exposure after being evicted from their homes. You hear me? To top the disaster off, a cholera epidemic spread during the last year of the blight, killing thousands more. The exact number who perished is unknown, but it's believed to be between 1 and 2 million. In addition, at least 1 million people left the country, and many of these wayward souls died at sea. All during that terrible time, there was plenty of food in Ireland, but it was consumed by the wealthy. The poor, meanwhile, had nothing. They were left to starve. Okay? So, do you see? To me, when I read this, I understand the desperation that the poor whites are clinging to Trump about. Okay? Because historically speaking, a Trump wouldn't care about what happened to the manufacturing jobs and things like that. Also, when it comes to racism, if you understand that most white people hate other white people from other ethnic groups, so it's understandable that they would hate black people who don't even have the same skin, hair, thought process, or values or habits as them. You understand? White people among white people don't like each other. So, just something to think about. You know how we do. Leave your comments below. Like this video, share this video. And I'm going to tell you something a little personal. My grandfather was Irish, and his name was Ara. And his parents came over from Ireland. And, eventually, they came in through the East Coast, but they eventually made it over to Texas, where my grandfather was born, the first citizen of this country in my family. And he married my grandmother, who was from Fiji, and they had my mom. Okay? And the stories that my granddaddy told me about the English, and it's a wonder, most of the English males were pretty much wiped out in the wars. So, and that's not by happenstance. And also, the royal family that's on the throne in England, they're actually German. They're not British. Just so you know, look it up, Google it. Those of you who know what I'm talking about, leave it down in the comments. You can always message me via my Instagram or my Facebook pages. So yeah, I will see y'all next time. But yeah, this was the Great Famine, which was the Potato Famine of Ireland. And that's pages 527 and 528, Bizarre Truths About Human Mysteries. Talk to y'all later.